Welcome students, this is Ms. Martin, and I have a First Page Friday for you. The book that I'd like to introduce you to is called Fahrenheit 451. It's by Ray Bradbury. I think typically students are around middle school age when they read this, but I think that some of the concepts in it are a little bit more mature. Not in that it's inappropriate to read at a younger age, not at all, but simply that I think that this is one of those books that when you read it as a middle schooler, and then you come back and read it again as a high schooler, and then you come back and read it again as an adult, you're reading a different book. You get different understandings from it. It makes sense in a different way, and you can understand what the author is really trying to get across because there's so much depth and meaning to this book that it just has a really different feel to it depending upon the time of life that you're reading it. But I think that you can read this as early as maybe 4th or 5th grade. It's not an outrageously challenging book to read, but it is a lot of fun. This book has science fiction. It has a love of books. It has real depth of character. The character Guy Montag that's in here, he is a very interesting character that you get to see make major changes throughout the course of the story. And he ends up changing in ways that you don't necessarily see coming. So you might predict it, but it's hard to see all of the pieces of who he ends up becoming by the end of the story. And it also has a lot of commentary on life and on society and the way that people share information or the way that people want to control information and so forth. So it's an absolutely fascinating read and has been one of my favorite books for a very long time. I hope you give it a try. I'd like to read the first page of this to you to see if maybe this will be your next book. So the first chapter here is called The Hearth and the Salamander. This is the first page. It was a pleasure to burn. It was a special pleasure to see things eaten, to see things blackened and changed. With the brass nozzle in his fists, with the great python spitting its venomous kerosene upon the world, the blood pooled in his head, and his hands were the hands of some amazing conductor, playing all the symphonies of blazing and burning to bring down the tatters and charcoal ruins of history. With his symbolic helmet numbered 451 on his stolid head, and his eyes all orange flame with the thought of what came next, he flicked the igniter, and the house jumped up in a gorging fire that burned the evening sky red and yellow and black. He strode in a swarm of fireflies. He wanted, above all, like the old joke, to shove a marshmallow on the stick in the furnace, while the flapping pigeon-winged books died on the porch and lawn of the house, while the books went up in sparkling whirls and blew away in a wind turned dark with burning. So that's pretty intense right at the beginning, right? There's a lot of excitement happening from the very start, from the very first page here. So if that sounded interesting to you, go pick up a copy of Fahrenheit 451. Pick it up, read that first chapter, see if this might be your next book. I hope that if you give it a try, I hope that you love it as much as I do. Take care.